Welcome back to the Homestead. This drizzly, rainy day. Forgive me, I am worked up, is one way you could say it. I am borderline livid at this point. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory. So, we have been raising our own food for a few years and we love it. The experience, the tastiness of all the meat and homegrown produce, it's amazing. And we would eventually like to make a living doing this. And so we have done a few forays into trying to find a market. What is it that we can produce from our homestead that can help pay for it? So I've done craft fairs for soaps and balms and tea blends and things like that, which I felt like we were just starting to find what kind of areas market well for those. And then, of course, um, everyone got sick and the whole world shut down, right? So we decided to open an online store through Shopify. Um, a couple years ago, we also tried to see what kind of market there was for rabbit meat. And this was well before I had even a Facebook page. And at the time, you could raise rabbits and sell them without the need of a processing facility that had to be inspected. You didn't even need a license. Um, the, the you didn't need any of that. So that has changed. And so we didn't have much of an interest last time we tried. I didn't have social media either, so I thought, okay, well, why don't we try and build up some social media, network with people, see if we can find people who are interested, and then we'll try again. At that same time, we also cut back our own production because we made a huge road trip out to see my family on the West Coast. Um, and then shortly after we got back, life gets busy and we had a couple more kids of our own, and so we finally said, okay, let's build up our production. Let's bring in some more breeders. When we decided to bring in more breeders to expand our rabbitry, we actually lost one of our breeders. Just we'd had her for a while, I think old age and whatnot. So then, of course, delayed again. Long story short, we finally got to a point where we were ready to try and market the meat again. So I contacted the I think it was the Department of Ag to make sure everything was still the same, that I didn't need a license for anything. Turns out I do need a license. They said, oh, well, your county has its own health department. So get a hold of the people at the health department and they will tell you everything you need to know. So, okay, I called our county health department and guess what? They have no fucking idea. They said, I don't know. I don't know what you need. I know what we give our beef processors and sellers and for pigs and chickens. They have no idea for rabbits. I thought, okay, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. It's a new rule change. Maybe things are still trying to catch up. There might be a lag, right? So she suggested that I continue speaking with the Department of Ag because they would have the information. So I through email, contacted their contact that they have listed for meat processing. For meat, just for meat, not for anything else, just for meat processing. And asked them, what is the license that I will need? I had a bunch of other questions as well, so I was asking about uh, pork and beef, rendering tallow, all that thing. Could that be done from home if we raised our own and wanted to sell the tallow? So, excuse me. So when the health department got back to me and said they didn't know, I went ahead and asked the person I was talking to through the Department of Ag and said, okay, what is the license that I need to be able to legally sell rabbits whole, not butchered and cut to pieces. I raise them on site, we butcher on site, and we sell direct to customers on the farm. We don't deliver them anywhere. We don't take them anywhere. They come here, they pick it up, and they purchase. They didn't know. So after they said, oh, let me look it up, I'll get back to you. Okay, so they get back to me and they send me all this information, all these pamphlets and brochures on here's how you need to set up your facility, and in case of want to keep your biohazards down, here's how your safety plan, your cleaning plan, and all this stuff. And so I was like a little taken aback. I thought, no, not for a commercial facility, just for us, just to sell off some extras to make a little extra money back on feed, or to pay for the kids' dance or jujitsu or whatever. And so I replied to the email and I asked, I was under the impression that you would only need an inspected facility if you processed and sold more than either 1,000 poultry or 3,000 rabbits. And that was based on previous information that person had given me. And they said, I don't know. Give me your name and address, and I'll talk to my supervisor. And I said, no. I'm not going to give you they had my first name, and then just my business email. And so, and I never heard back from them. I actually just got off the phone with someone from the Department of Ag who said that I was reportedly, there was a complaint that I was selling meat and eggs without a license. One of my customers, they said. And I said, well, that's funny. We've never had customers for rabbit and meat, or for rabbit or eggs, They said, well, but your store, your online store, there's a screenshot that you have pictures. I said, of course. Of course I have pictures up there, because what I thought was going to take a day to get licensed has now turned into weeks of chasing my fucking tail, okay? And I just haven't pulled those down. So this person, they were very cordial. This gentleman was very respectful, was not aggressive, was not rude in any way, shape, or form, but he did explain to me what is going to be required to be able to sell rabbits legally. So, plus the license is free. Well, that's cool. But he said it didn't matter if you're processing only one rabbit or 2,999 rabbits. You have to have this specific license, which a couple years ago wasn't required at all. And so he said, so apply for the license and a meat safety inspector will come inspect your facility. And I said, but I thought you didn't need a facility to be inspected unless you went over that. Because you don't need a license or a facility to be inspected for poultry unless you go over that 1,000. But for some reason, they didn't want to apply the same rules to rabbits, which if anyone's butchered a rabbit versus a chicken, you know, butchering a rabbit has way less steps involved than a chicken. But nevertheless, so the license is free. They would come and inspect your facility. I said, okay, so what if I search the website, can I find all of the needed requirements for this facility for processing rabbits? And he said, no. The only list of requirements that they provide are for big-time processors who sell commercial, who sell wholesale, who deal with thousands and thousands of fucking animals in a day. Or even, you know, obviously, even those same rules apply to the smaller processors that do process for grocery stores and wholesalers. So, what he's saying is that the approval and the ability to get this license is completely fucking subjective. But he did run down some basics. Some basic requirements are the walls, floors, and ceilings impermeable? And are they easily cleaned? So, you know, wood, not allowed. Is there hot and cold running water to the facility? Is there a separate sink for hand washing? So I asked him, I said, so you couldn't process your rabbit outdoors and it would be approved? He said no. Oh, the joys of fucking government regulation. Okay, but let's just process this here. So the process is already completely subjective based on what that individual inspector would deem appropriate, would deem safe. If you're selling direct from the farm and the customer has the ability to come in, get to know you, see how well your animals are taken care of, and if asked, I would be happy to show them our process, or if they even wanted to see it, they could come see us processing rabbits. Why can that person then not make the decision for themselves and say, I like how this setup works. I like how these people raise their food. Let's go ahead and purchase some meat from them. Well, they could, but guess what? I'm going to be held criminally liable for breaking the law if that were to happen. Now, of course, the gentleman from the Department of Ag that I spoke to had mentioned, he said, oh, for example, you know, someone a few months ago converted an old milking parlor in a barn for this, and they got approved for it. Well, that's great, but guess what? I don't have a milking parlor in a barn. We are building this shit from the ground up, okay? So, long story short, this free license that would allow me to sell my rabbit legally to people is only going to cost either the construction of a fucking butcher house or to retrofit a shed, a corner of my garage, whatever the fuck. And then to hook up a hot water heater, some extra water lines, you guys, this is fucking bullshit. Okay? This is what you call a barrier to entry, where this ridiculous fucking concept of like, oh, we're doing this to make sure that the consumers are protected, it's for their safety. Bullshit. It's completely fucking subjective. I'm so pissed. So, I have tried all that I can to go through these proper channels. But it's not cost effective. It's fucking impossible. I'm not going to go into debt to try and sell 100 to 200 rabbits a fucking year. So I do have another idea that would still be completely legal, which I'm going to flesh out a little more, and then I will share that idea with you guys. But as one of my favorite people in the whole world, Joel Salatin, has said many times, we have gotten to a point where circumventing the system is all that's left to us. So, now keep in mind, I live in Wisconsin. These are rules for Wisconsin. Where you are may be different. But it's infuriating because less than 3 years ago, none of this was needed. It was totally safe to do all this without the need of inspection, without the need of a license, without the need of any of that. And now, no, it's not safe anymore, but it's totally fucking subjective. So, rant over. If you guys have any ideas, I would love to hear them. But please, I hope your journey to creating a homestead business has not been nearly as fucking frustrating as mine. Till next time, we'll be here at the homestead where the grass, dirt, and gravel meet. Bye, you guys.